focus on the magic aspect of songwriting instead of focusing on the BS theory that is out there. What I mean by this is not necessarily to ignore the theory, the music theory in this case, but to just kind of break the rules sometimes. Because I don't know with you, I know that a lot of people don't know music theory, know very little music theory. I think that's the norm for most people that are just having guitar as a hobby. Maybe you know a little bit, but you don't know the full picture. And if you know a little bit, I know for myself that I tended to latch onto every single piece of music theory that I knew of in order to finish songs. I found it particularly great if you were going to create a verse and a chorus part and transition from a verse to chorus. In that case, it helps a lot to know how to transition from one scale to another in a chord progression. It helps to know pivot chords, what a pivot chord is, stuff like that. It helps to know scale degrees, different modes can spice up your playing. All of these things are great. They're amazing tools, but at the end of the day, they can also stand in the way of you actually creating stuff. Because I mean, the theory is always useful, but it's useful in a vacuum. A lot of the times, if you're just practicing it for the sake of practicing. And so you need to always think of the practical aspect of things. And if you get too stuck in that line of thinking, what I often find happening is that I start to overthink things. Because, you know, I made music way back in the day before I even knew a single piece of theory. I didn't know. If you asked me to play a B or an A, I wouldn't know how to play it other than just one part of the neck or two parts of the neck. I wouldn't know, you know, what scale degrees are, or what, like, what's a great example? I'm struggling to come up with a great example now. But yeah, scale degrees, or minor second, major second. I would be able to pinpoint what those intervals are, for example. But I would still create music, you know. I would just listen to whatever I heard on the radio, whatever my mom and dad would put on, or whatever music that I found online, and I would just transcribe that. I would listen and I would figure out how to play it. You know, that's how most or a lot of people started out. And then you can copy that and use those chords. You can use those things that you've learned for yourself in a different contexts, and just doing that helps a lot. You know, that's basically the bare bones things you need in order to create your own music. You need some inventiveness with your fingers, and you listen to what other people are doing, and then you try to use that in your own way. So what I can do is I can give you a note, right? Like a D, and then what you can do is you can move, you can do a little slide, for example, and maybe that turns into a little motif. A motif, something that you repeat over and over. And then you add a little bit of variety each and every single time you repeat that little slide. And that's just me free associating the notes. I'm free associating. Of course, there's some theory in there. There's a bit of the pentatonic. There's a bit of the major and minor scale there, but I'm not thinking about those things when I'm playing or when I'm coming up with these licks. It's just something that just comes up. And so I think there was a great jazz musician who said this, that whenever you're up to performing, when you're recording, when you're coming up with stuff, you have to just let all the theory, all the things that you practice, you have to let it behind and just be in the moment. And that's That's when the magic happens. To a certain degree, that might sound like a cliche, and I don't necessarily think that it's a cliche. I think there's something. I think there's something to that, of just free associating in the moment. What I often do a lot when I record music is I just jam and I come up with some licks, and then maybe I record 10 minutes of licks or 5 minutes, and then I listen to that whole part, and then I might chop up the small parts that I like the most, and then I go back, I relearn or play those parts over again, and maybe I add some stuff. And by just jamming, by doing that, you can come up with some amazing things, some amazing song ideas, right? So you record the whole thing and you find the best parts, and then you develop and refine the best parts of whatever you're creating. A lot of times you'll find these happy accidents that for some reason they sound amazing and you just end up keeping them. I really love those moments when you just are able to come up with something in the moment and it just sounds amazing. It wouldn't have happened if you tried really hard to think about it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's it for today. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Christian H. Lee. I'd be happy to help you if you are a guitarist and if you'd like to record and compose your first song and record that stuff in Ableton. So yeah, that's it. Cheers. Have a good one.